Hey there. So what I wanted to do, and I have to clean my glasses, Gavin sat on them. What I wanted to do was just, I know that we're all in this place with these children missing, and there's just so much challenge going on around, particularly the case in California. And what I wanted to do was just jump on really quick and just sort of talk for a minute about, let me get my glasses on, talk about this waitress in Orlando, because I felt like this is good news. I just felt like, everybody's reporting on this one particular case, and I just want, and I'm going to say hi to everybody in a second, but I feel like everybody's, jumping in on the case in California City, and I don't want to minimize that. But I came across this one thing today, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to share some happy frickin' news, because I thought, so I don't know if you all have heard about it, but it happened on New Year's Day, and it's really, in a funny way, it's how God works, right? That kind of wink. And this one waitress, and I wrote her name down. Hold on. It is Flaviane Carvalo in Orlando. She's a hostess. No, sorry. She is a manager at Mrs. Potato in Orlando. I don't know if you know this story, but you may have heard of it. But she was called in because a waitress called in sick that day. And one of the things that happened is she seated, it was the end of the shift, and they seated, I guess, this family of four, mom, dad, and two kids. And it just so happened that one of the children was facing her. It was a table of six, but it was only one of those things odd, right? Talk about how, God plays a role. In the one child was facing Flaviane, where she could see him, but he had on a mask, he had dark glasses, he had a hoodie. So she couldn't really see what was going on. And they ordered food, and the food arrived, and everybody got food but this one boy. So she went over to the table and she said, "Is everything okay?" And the father said, "Oh, yes, everything's fine." And she said, "Well, but he didn't get any food because the little boy didn't get a plate." And the father said, "Oh, no, he's eating at home." And she said, "Oh, okay." But she felt something was wrong. And as she walked away, she, mother's instinct, right? And she had that instinct, like, something's not right here, And I think that what happened was just like this twist of fate. She turned around to look at him, and he had these dark, she couldn't see, but she saw something of a bruise here, right? And she thought, something's not right. So she literally took a look. I'm getting truth bumps, you guys. Are you guys okay? So I don't know, Tony, are we still on? Lisa, Marie, you know the story. Okay, good. Okay, I just say hi to people. So she held up the sign. She wrote a little sign because only he could see her. And she said, "Are you okay?" And he went, she said he nodded ever so slightly no. And she then wrote another sign a few minutes later, and she wrote, "Do you need help?" And he went, and she went up to the owner who was at the cash register. She said, "I've got to call the police." And he said, she said, the woman who owns the restaurant said, "Do it." So she called the police, and the police came, and it turned out this boy had been horribly abused. And by the way, had she not called, the police were saying in the police briefing when they announced everything, it was a press, how do you say, a press meeting. And the police said if she had not reported this, that boy would have been dead. Just, there's no way. They had him do a handstand and he couldn't do it. So they tied him up by his ankles upside down. I mean, these people were so cruel. I can't even go into some of the horrifying stories. But, I think that what the waitress said, what Flaviane said, is that, that it was the last table of the day. And the owner came over and said, "We were busy on New Year's Day." It was New Year's Day. And she said there was at that time, there was nobody sitting there. There's nobody in the restaurant. So the waitress, who, again, she wasn't supposed to be there, she was filling in. She saw that little boy, and she said something's wrong because they're not, because she went back, the father said he's going to eat at home. And she thought to herself, right, exactly, Tony, like, thank God for the waitress. I mean, come on, if you're a mom, or if you're even like, if you've even been around a kid, what kid is going to sit there and not eat? Okay. I mean, I'm just saying, what kid is just going to sit there and go, no, I'm not hungry. I'll just sit here. No, she knew there was something wrong. That's when she held up the signs. And she said, it was just something wasn't right. And there were a couple things she said that I thought were so great. She said that, she said, you never deny food for a kid. That was a big giveaway. And she said, as she started to walk away, she saw a big scratch here on his forehead. And then as he turned, she saw black and blue. And I want to just say this, there's something miraculous about, if you see it, say it. Like, she was smart enough not to go, hey, something's going on here. She was smart enough to walk over and call the police. They came. And by the way, these little boys, he had I think there was another kid, they were saved. So I just really want to put that out there that, there are miracles every day that are happening. And there are good people out there, just like you, who are doing something that doesn't get all the press, that doesn't get all the attention. But I just want to really say, and this is something I really learned, in that, doing the right thing is absolutely free. It doesn't cost anything. And I think so, and the waitress said this, so much of the time we don't pay attention or we don't look. And it was really one of those things where it was freaky because she just happened to look. So I want to just say that had that boy not been facing in that direction, had it not been the last table of the day, had it not been, and we can go on, but you know what? Every star lined up. That boy was praying for a hero, and she showed up. She was his hero that day. Single mom, one of those kind of like heartwarming stories. And it's really funny because she found out, Flaviane, the waitress, she found out I think it was like 2 days after her birthday, that people had raised $40,000 as a reward for her. And, I obviously, and she even said it, she wasn't the money, and obviously, because you don't know, but we always get paid when we do the right thing. And I'm really feeling that lately. And I just, when we look at this kind of stuff, if you see it, say it. In London, I know she should adopt him, right? I would want her to adopt me. Forget him. I want her to adopt me. She's such a good mom. But, there was, a couple of years ago, I was traveling around London quite a bit. And in the tube, there was, see it, say it, sort it, like sorted, like you sorted it out. And it was sometimes the, two countries separated by common language. But it was very interesting that I stumbled across this and I thought, with everything going on, I just want to really say that, and by the way, the stepfather was immediately arrested. So was the stepmother. The boy was actually, it wasn't just child abuse. I forgot to say this part. It was beyond neglect. It was, the detective said it was torture. They were torturing this child. The mother's name was Kristen Swan. Okay. So these are adoptive parents. And, I can't underline that enough of like, if something looks like hooey, if it doesn't look right, it's probably not right. And, so many people say that to me. It's like, and it's funny because it goes to in every area of our life, every area. No, I'm not drinking. Every area of our life. If something feels wrong, it is wrong. And I want to say that because it's like, I'm in the middle of this business thing and it ties into this where something's not right. It doesn't feel right. And it didn't feel right. And unfortunately, I said yes to it. And now I'm in a position where I have to say, it has nothing to do with money or anything else. It has to do with when something's not right, speak up. And what I'm encountering in this is I'm working with these men and they are not speaking up. And I finally spoke up. And what I'm experiencing, and I mean no harm to any men out there, you know what I mean? I love y'all. And I feel like what it is that these guys, they're not in touch with what they're selling me. They're just selling me something that's like, here it is, here's the thing. And they're making millions on selling this stuff. And I don't deny them that. But what I do have an issue with is when you try to silence someone when something's wrong. then I have a problem. And so, thinking of what this boy must have looked like, with the hoodie, right? Mask, because let's face it, we're wearing masks now, right? It's the only time you can wear a mask into the bank and not, it's legal, right? But, a mask and glasses. And it's like, who thought that up for an 11-year-old boy to wear? I mean, not to feed this child. And this waitress, she is such an angel. And, I want to say this to all of you. Every single one of you have that in you every moment. And let's face it, when we look at our heroes, when we look at police officers and we look at crime and we look at people out there, every day they're doing stuff for us. So I just want to say to all of you, being alert in our environment. And by the way, this day and age, we have masks on. I don't know about you, but I used to have much more eye contact with people. But, you have these masks on. You don't see anybody. You're not looking for her to look, for her to notice. And boy, you have that in you. And these people were stopped. And you know what? It really is. It's so much better to report it and be wrong than to not report it. We have to be in that place, especially those of us that are like, what's going on? Why are these boys not found? Right now I'm thinking about the boys in California City, but they do it for the money from the state. I know, Melanie, they do. That's the thing. The question becomes, who would adopt only to neglect? And what it is, and this is something I was vibing on. It's funny you mentioned that. What I was really vibing on is, who would do that? Well, someone who has the need, has a rage to beat someone up, who has such a rage. And by the way, it's very interesting when we look at the case in California, and even because I'm doing a lot of the research with the Watts case now, how many people are at Christ age? Christ age is 33, right? That's that turn. And I really kind of feel like, and I know this is going to sound odd coming from someone who is like an intuitive, but I do believe in God. And I do, believe it or not, I read the Bible. And I really believe that this is almost prophetic now. When we look at Christ age, and that's what, we talk about sometimes. I talk about that with some of my friends. And when we look at that, you can either turn good or you can turn evil. And it's really interesting to see that being exactly, Michelle just said, need to control. And the thing is, why would someone need to control? Well, because their environment was always out of control. And so there's something about needing to control someone else to get that out of you. And 90% of the time, they have no idea that this is something like they shouldn't be doing, but yet they do. It's kind of this, I have to tell you, if any of you, and I want to do some stuff on alcoholism, and I want to talk about my history. I was thinking of doing a video on that. But I think one of the things I'm going to say is that there are, and I really feel this is important tonight, those boys that are missing in California City, California, I really feel they're gone. I have to tell you, and I feel like, while we might as a community, because let's face it, we are a community when we're doing this type of like investigation. I look at AV, I look at Duty Run, I look at all of these people, and I'm going, what I want to say is that someone, we may not be able to save some of these people, but there are those we can save. And so really acknowledging in your heart the people that do the right thing, that's so important, because then we get that courage. I think that we're in a different time now where, it's funny because so many people, they kind of go, oh, you follow this person. I'm like, no, what I like is when people inspire you, and I feel that one of the inspirational things that I got in these last few years is stand up for what you believe in. Stand up. And if you think it's wrong, like child abuse is wrong, which most of us do, I hope, stand up. And I'm really impressed that this one woman just said that something's going on there. And God bless her. She literally held up a sign and he nodded and they couldn't see it. So that's kind of what I was going to share tonight. And I want to, saw it, reacted to it, reported it, happy ending too. Oh, good. Jane, did you have something like that go on? It's like, it's acting on what you see and not being, wait a second. Let me see. I missed somebody here. Hold on. Okay, Richard just said, thanks so much for sharing, though horrific, really heartwarming, warming. Thank you for saying that, Richard, because I really feel like it is horrifying. But we need to face these things. That's the only way we're going to get rid of them, right? We can't get rid of this stuff if it's like, if we don't see it, if we're not willing to acknowledge what's going on. It's acting on what you see and not being an observer, and I want to say this is really important, Brent. A lot of us, Brent just said this, and I think it really is a great moment to say, so many of us in the past have been observers. We've observed what's happened because we are helpless. By the time we get to the idea of a crime going on, right, and we see the crime out there, it's on the news. We look at these and go, gosh, we need to. But I think we need to look at signs of things going on. And God bless that mom, because I'm going to tell you something. She called it as she saw it. And you know what? That's what it takes. That's really what it takes. I'm going to just say a quick shout out to some people. Tony, Melody, great to see you. Let's see. Catherine, good to see you. I love that she did something. When it comes to children, they're everyone's business. Okay, there you go. That is you know what? I can't tell you how much I remember. I don't know if you remember any of this, but I remember neighbors saying, mind your own business, But I think it's really important that we really mind one another's business, in the sense that we have to mind each other, like pay attention. And, this day and age, it really is so, it's scary out there. It is. And there's just so many variables at any moment. And I'm going to say this because, Brandy, I think this is really a great statement. Brandy said, miracles happen for the right reason. God knew she was the chosen one. His prayer was answered by the Spirit between her and the boys. Ooh, truth bumps, my girl. Let's see. I'm done with politics and just going to start listening to you now. Holly, I got to tell you, it's like I got so embroiled in politics the last few years, and particularly the last year, that my head was hurting. And, because I'm that person. I don't hate people. I don't hate that. I don't like policies, or I don't like certain things, but it was just, wow, the hate. And that was crazy. Paul, good to see you. Lori, what are you doing? Girl? So it's good to see so many people. Tremaine, I hope you're still here. Woo! What's going on? The professor, he's here in the house. Loving that. Katja, good to see you. Scott, good to see you. Nico Tin, hi. Raul, woo. So I'm just shouting out to a couple people because I really want to say that, thank you, Tony. I was like, what's the word? Press conference. Thank you. Let's see. Reading about the abuse he endured made me physically ill. How can anyone be so cruel? And I think the thing is there's madness, and I think it's beyond, people talk about, and I really, if we circle back, which, guys, I am going into diving in deep, and I really need someone who understands video a little, because I have a video editor. I just need some editing with the Watts family tree, because I need to break it up. But I have been diving into the Watts family tree, and I'm telling you, madness is there. It's like a blueprint. When we talk about astrology, that it's that blueprint of what's going on in the sky. And, I want to say to you also, and I'm going to kind of come to like a full, I want to say like a full moon here kind of conversation. Let's go with this one. Just coming back to the state. Yes, TKO. Oh, TKO, good to see you. We started 2021 with a full moon in Cancer. When you look at a full moon in Cancer, and this is very important in this way, Cancer is very emotional, right? So it's that sign, it's the moon, it represents the moon. So full moon, high emotion, right? New Year's Eve, and Cancerian emotions. The United States is Cancerian. But what is the full moon? It exposes things. So in the full moon, you get to see the truth about things. Are you willing to step into your truth and what is true and step away from the hate? See, this is really important. It's like you can't see the truth if you're in a rage. You can't. And it really is difficult. And I want to do a shout out to all police officers too, because, I don't know how they do it when things are flying and they're like, they've got to have that adrenaline up, and yet they have to be fair. I remember my dad saying during World War II that he goes, you had to hate them. You had to hate the enemy to get them. And I was like, okay, but he was right. But that he also said, but you have to know when it's right and when it's wrong. And that is just, so when we look at the full moon, all right, in Cancer, I want to say to everyone, it means things are going to be very clear to all of us. So I want to encourage everyone to keep your eyes and ears open. This is the time to see who your neighbors are. See if something isn't looking right to you. Now, I'm not saying go get a magnifying glass and look at their mail or go through their garbage. Please, I'm not saying that. But I am saying be aware of what's going on in your hood, because it really is, that full moon is exposing things this year. And if you see something wrong, be a stand for the right of it. In other words, go for what's correct and not just, hi, Gab. Gavin's like, okay, I ran out of greenies. What's up, babe? You okay? It's like, he's mad at me now. Okay. All right. It won't be long. I promise. Okay. I know you want some food. Okay. So the money, that's fine. I want to say to everybody, if you think of it, please give a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I want to kind of keep you on the, in the know, because I am going to be doing that I'm going to be launching, and I'll give you more information later about the, looking at family trees of criminals and seeing where things twisted. Oh, Brent, Gavin says hi too. And then Jane said, oh, that's so nice. I'm going to put it up. Never be afraid to react and report. It's better to be wrong than be regretful. Children need our voices sometimes. I have only had this feeling once and I was right. You know what? I tell you what, if you follow that intuition, if you go into it and you really tap into it, you're going to be led to the right thing. One of the things that I think can happen sometimes, and I know for me, is that if I'm changing patterns, and I've been working on certain things that I've had right? Don't lick that. He's licking glitter. It's like weird. I'm changing patterns in my life. And so when something has happened, sometimes, you're in a position where things aren't great, and you go, now I need to look at what my contribution to this is, because sometimes it really isn't you. And it was interesting because I wrote to this person, guys that I'm having this challenge with, I wrote, sometimes a cigar is a cigar. Like sometimes if someone says, do you smell a cigar? And they go, no, that's not a cigar. It's like, sometimes it is. That doesn't mean that I don't have responsibility for a part in something if I've done something wrong. But it does mean that just because I made a poor decision doesn't mean I'm wrong about my other observations. So it's hard to really look at that as a totality. Jesse James is my cousin on my grandma's side. Let me see. Have same great-great-grandfather. Well, it's his grandpa, but my second. So Jesse James is your cousin on grandma's side. So that would be your second or third cousin. It's very confusing with those. I always get the thing wrong. But when I look at the tree, I can tell you what's going on. And, and by the way, some of the most brave, bold, outspoken, amazing people in the world, and I am not kidding you, they have criminals in their family tree. I worked with a woman with her family tree, and her father was a murderer. He was doing life. And there was so much stuff that she had held herself back from because she was really afraid of being like him. And when we looked at the totality of the tree and where she took her energy from, we saw that she really wasn't anything like him. But what can happen too is because it can skip a generation, she or her brother could have children that are like her father. So there is that you may have to parent a child away from that kind of thinking. And how is that done? And I don't think we talk about that enough. I really don't think that we know what to do as a society when someone is steering the wrong way. Let's see. Somebody said I'm a Cancer. Michelle said I'm a Cancer in the zodiac. Well, Michelle, There's going to be a year for you uncovering everything emotional in your life. See, where Cancer is in your chart is going to tell you a lot. So what does that mean for, like, I'm going to give you an example here. Mars, it's a sign of action, right? It's that what we're going to do. Well, it's not the best place. I have Mars in Cancer. So what does that do? Moon and Mars, it means if I feel emotional, I'm going to come on and tell you. That's exactly what happened to me with the Watts case. Even though I wasn't perfect in it and I wasn't doing things the perfect way, it was really important to speak up. And I think a lot of us grew through that. And some of you, became familiar with it because I was just like, I was talking intuitively through each part. And when we look at that father, and that's something too, I want to start looking at, and I did a little bit on Trezell, and I want to do something on this guy too, of like, this guy got caught and it saved those children's lives. And you know what? I really think we have to get out there and start really, I want to say, putting out there that we want a national database for children when they're adopted. I really feel that it is so important. Raul is right on. I'm just going to put this up. Okay. So I am going to say we have to break the cycle, and it begins also, we can say things, but we also need to recognize that not only are these departments underfunded, I'm not going to blame those people, but if we had a national database of adoptive children and they were in that database, and because you don't know, somebody may know, oh my God, that guy's a criminal. Some of these people have severe criminal records, but they just moved to another state, so I think, it's a sister, good for you. Sister. So that's the thing too, is remember that we also talked, and this was something that the prior administration tried to get through, was to get a database of police officers nationwide, but that was defeated by it was shut down by the Congress. They never looked at that as a bill. But I think that these national databases, gun owners, and by that I don't mean we should track somebody down, but I mean, like, if there's national databases, boy, is it going to be faster to find somebody who's abusing a child. And that's what I'm more concerned with. And I want to Diane King said, what did you say? Oh, you're from, Tehachapi, 25 miles from, girl, I'm going to ask you a question. She's 25 miles from where those boys were. I don't mean those boys. I mean, sorry, Oren and Owen. Yeah, you know what? Oof, okay. And I want to shout out to AV as well. This guy, what I love about him is he's got that, if you look at that guy energetically, he's got a hero streak in him. And I'm telling you, don't you want that guy out looking for you? I don't know about you, but if anything happens to me, call him, okay? Like, I want him looking for me. He is just like not going to give up. And I really feel that the boys are somewhere around that old address. And I think everything happened in that old address, but that's where I'm coming from. I also feel that there's a mother who knows something, and I feel like it's Jacqueline or the mother who took the other 4 children. Somebody knows something. And I just wrote that down, and I said about those boys, somebody knows. And we just have to keep vibing on, bringing that truth forward, because somebody's going to crack. Somebody's going to crack. I don't know who it is. Yeah, they're up to no good. Exactly. That's what TKO just said. So I want to kind of just wrap this a little bit here, because I wanted to jump on and just say, something, every single one of us has a chance to do the right thing at any moment. Like, for example, look, a suffering whippet right there. He wants his dinner. So I better go feed him. But I was going to say to all of you, I want to be more active here, and please feel free to like, subscribe, and give me your comments below. And I really, yeah. I want to just wrap up with that too. One of the things I'm really noticing is that there are self-comforting movements that criminals do. They all do it. They'll do this, right? And they'll rock themselves, or they'll always distance themselves in the conversation. And by the way, I don't know if you guys want to, I was thinking of doing something about this, where there's 7 things to notice if someone is distancing selves from a circumstance or you. And I was thinking of doing a video on that. Just let me know if you want to hear about that, because I think those distancing actions are sometimes we don't see them and we think it's ourselves. And I want to say that will help, I think, allow us to go, wait a second, there's something wrong there. So that said, I'm going to send you all lots and lots of love. Thank you so much for joining me. And I am going to see you very soon, because I really want to get the Watts stuff going with the entire family tree. I am not kidding you guys. You are like going to be like, what? And so just to say a little bit of the curiosity is, yes, there are murders and there are cars. So we're going to talk about that as well. So I agree with you, John. It's like my father used to always say, there's a weasel in the hen house. And when it comes to children that are missing, everyone, every law enforcement person, and Judy Ron said it too, we all kind of feel like those boys may be gone, but we need to find them. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the moment they're found, it is, and I feel like they were missing around December 19th. I have to, and that's my birthday. I feel like something happened to them around then. It might have been even earlier, but I'm not doing, she was just asking, am I going to do Shanann? I am not going to do Shanann's side of the family. I'm only going to do Cindy, which is fascinating, and I'm going to do Ronnie. And the reason for that is I kind of want to honor Shanann's side of the family. And so unless like somebody came to me and said, I want to see it, like a family member, I don't want to do it, just because it's fine for me to do the criminal side so I can show you. But I think a part of me feels like I feel so lucky, and this is terrible to say, but I feel like I knew her, and I feel like I really was very sad last year, and I wanted to kind of let people just have their freedom with that, So let's see. Okay, great. Diane, go ahead and, everybody kind of knows how to email me. It's, what is it? I don't even know. Wait a minute. Support at torihartman.com. You'll find me there. Yeah, Michelle, I was thinking about that. AB, good to see you. Marshall Dove, good to see you. Bye, Melanie. I will see you guys next time. I'm going to go feed the little beastie. And thanks for joining me tonight. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.